Prepare for Black Alert. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Spore drive is online.
Welcome to the Star Trek Black Alert podcast, your melanated references for all things Star Trek across all four quadrants. I'm Tia, and we're going to go forth with introducing the rest of the bridge crew.
It's Raina. How you doing, everybody?
Dre, I still don't have a funny intro for myself.
Grace at Casual Grace.
It's Travis. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to discuss Star Trek Discovery episodes 11 and 12, Su'Kal and There Is a Tide, respectively. Su'Kal is directed by Norma Bailey, while There Is a Tide is directed by William Riker himself, Jonathan Frakes. So let's get into it. What do we all think of Su'Kal?
The character themselves or the entire episode? You need to be more specific. I have thoughts.
So let's go. We've been talking about the burn for all of season 3. It is the main plot of season 3. Su'Kal, we've kind of gotten an answer, but maybe not. It's a little strange. So with Su'Kal being revealed as being a person, a singular person, a Kelpian who is responsible for the burn, is that a satisfactory answer? What do you think of it?
Well,
All right.
Okay, I'm just go first because I will say that in terms of like all the theories that everybody had in regards to what was the source of the burn or what and how it tied in with this and if it was related to Philippa's sickness and this and that, this solution is a little underwhelming for me. It seems a little, convenient for me. I think I enjoyed all the other theories much more than what it turned out to be, is what I'll say.
Raina?
Same. I agree with Grace. I felt it was a little lacking in the storytelling. How Su'Kal somehow survives all this time. I think it was 125 years by himself in this program, and then all of a sudden he's the source of the burn. It was underwhelming. And I love the whole Kelpian connection. I loved Saru having this emotional moment. It was cute, but I wanted some more substance to that.
Yeah, I agree with Raina and Grace. I was honestly looking for something a little more technical and science fiction, honestly, because that's part of Star Trek. So I kind of get where they're going with it, but at the same time, it's a head scratcher in my opinion. It was caused because this dude can emit this frequency that's the same as dilithium, or that's at least the loose theory that we hear Kober give to everyone. Like, this is why it would have happened, and I'm just kind of like, okay, if that's what you guys decided to write, then I guess we're gonna roll with that. So I'm a little disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Travis, what do you think?
So, my opinion is different than all of yours. I think, that this was a very Star Trek response. This was a very Star Trek cause for the burn. How many times in original Star Trek or Next Gen did we have some, random person on a planet who just happened to have godlike powers and could, rewrite everything, like as far back as Charlie X. I can never remember the name of the episode of Next Gen, but there was the one with the old couple. There's always this magical person, this super powerful person who can rewrite reality, and I think that's what we got here. My issue with it though is that in all of those episodes, those are self-contained episodes. It's like, one and done. We meet this guy and we move on. In this case, the entire season has hinged on finding the cause of the burn. I can see why it would be underwhelming to have just a guy, like a person who, if he'd gone to Professor X's school, he'd be all right.
No, he's been stuck on this planet by himself in his mother's, hollow program,
And he's
he has
emotionally
no
stunted.
concept. Yeah, I did like that, the emotional distress caused, him to lash out and emits this pulse. That was kind of cool though. It was kind of like something from like X-Men or something.
Across multiple quadrants though, and I think that's what gets me. I can see if he was able to do this and it is a sort of self-contained reaction,
Not
but
necessarily self-contained, but limited to
A
yeah,
certain space.
system.
yeah,
Not
and it's
multiple
it's Omega Mutant, right? Like, just to use
Yeah,
it
the
is.
X-Men reference.
There's
And
Dark
it
Phoenix.
doesn't seem like enough. And what does the song have to do with everything? Like,
I have a theory on that.
really?
Yeah, I do.
Go.
This is, I guess, the part where I say the theory. So, spoilers. I'm assuming you guys have watched the episode if you're listening to us talk about the episode, but spoilers about what has happened, what could happen, and I'm probably wrong, but my feeling theory, now that I've seen what I've seen of episode 11, Sukal, is that he has this big emotional surge of grief when his mother passes, and that is what causes the burn, essentially, this big huge pulse, because he's just distraught that his mother is gone. And the song that everybody knows, that everybody sings, is a lullaby, a Kelpian lullaby, a different Kelpian lullaby that his mother happened to be singing as she was passing, and that's why that song went out as part of the burst, and everybody seems to know it, because the wave, whether it destabilized the dilithium or not, touched everyone, and that has been imprinted on everyone. Probably not true, but that's how I feel that it's going.
I mean, it's a theory that fits. Like,
Mhm.
and I really feel with everything that they've done with the theme of this whole season, finding the burn, but how one person's actions can affect so many others around them. It really drives that theme home for this whole entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
The needs of the one outweighed the needs of like the whole galaxy.
Pretty much.
Jeez.
Pretty much.
But that would imply that there was some sort of telepathic power wrapped in the rest of it, right? For it to have a Trill knowing the song versus, I believe there was someone else at the beginning of the season who also knew it. We knew Gray, played the song and knew it. So, like, I'm trying to figure out exactly what this mutation involved, because that was what I believe Hugh said, that in utero mutation is what gave him this power. I don't know. That's a hell of a mutation. That's all
I get
I'm
it.
gonna
And
say.
I mean, there's a lot to it, but what we don't know, and again, this is all speculation, and I've spent entirely too much time thinking about this. We don't know at this point a lot about Kelpians, and the past that Discovery comes from doesn't know a lot about Kelpians, because Saru is
true.
essentially the only Kelpian that's ever left the planet. We don't know what could have happened in the evolution of Kelpians since Saru has left. We don't know what could have happened in the evolution of Kelpians since Kelpians are now in this new future, presumably allowed to survive Vahari, what they do, what they become, what they evolve into. How do you know that Kelpians of a certain age don't have telepathic powers?
That's true. And there's an interesting thing that the Vulcan hologram says, the Kelpian Baal Alliance, like they're a group of people now, the Baal. So that could have, they could have become one species maybe, and those powers could have gone between them. They were strange species on the first season.
There's a lot of room for like
interpretation
there, because like we just don't know. We haven't seen enough of Kaminar and the Kelpians to know what could become. And I like that. I like that we're getting all this backstory of the Kelpians and Kamilar, this new species on Star Trek that we get to go deeper into.
Mm-hmm. So, what did y'all think of the landscape that our young Kelpian was in, our old young Kelpian was in, that advanced holo program?
The Escher Vault.
That was wow, that was kind of wild, especially with when we see Hugh, Saru, and Michael on the ship. Hey, we get Trill, Michael, Bajorn, Hugh, and a human Saru. I was like, what? They done put our man Doug in a wig and everything, man.
Shout out to Doug for finally getting staying out of the makeup chair for a little while.
But that's such a Star Trek thing, you know. You think about all of the actors that wear the heavy prosthetics; they always have an episode where they're not in it.
Yep.
Remember,
and you see their
B'Elanna
face,
Torres,
and I'm like,
and you're
yes.
just like, who?
Oh yeah, B'Elanna Torres facets, facets.
Oh
I
my
can't
God,
remember.
that's Doug.
Yeah, they did it with B'Elanna. They did it with Worf.
Odo.
They did it with a few people. Yeah, it was great to see. It really was. I appreciate that throwback.
And I love that he still had Saru's mannerisms.
Yes, I noticed.
So like
the
that's
walk.
still like the wavy thing with his hands as he walks. The whole thing. He was still Saru. I like.
Heels are touching the ground.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. He's like, my heels are touching the ground.
Kudos to Michael though for being a hologram.
Yes.
She fell into that role quick.
She did. He was like, no, because she said something Su'Kal didn't like, and he was like, no, bad program, something's wrong with you.
Reset parameters.
Yes.
Hello.
And she sat there like, hello, and I was like, oh,
Okay.
Oh, Michael. Yes, sis. Yes. Thank you.
I just really, that episode, you know, we're kind of sort of concentrated on one part of it. And I know that we mentioned that, you know, episode 12 is where everything sort of pops off. But there are little moments in Su'Kal that I think are just great. You know, just sort of throwbacks to previous series.
I just want to
And
say.
Saru, his whole reaction to seeing a holographic elder, like you see him when he sees that part of the program, he kind of regressed a little bit to his own childhood, and that put him in the state of mind of this is what's going on. He's still mentally a kid. Now, it clicked for him, but it also clicked for Michael because Michael was like, okay, you've been isolated, all that stuff. So Michael gets it, pretty early on. But it took that for Saru to realize what's going on with this dude. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, good. And that's when we see them have that moment. That's where Saru is like, I can't go about this like a Starfleet officer. I can't even go about this, like an adult Kelpian. I have to use, mittens with this dude. And he did. He sang him the lullaby. And that was a great moment. That was Saru having some heart. And I thought it was great.
They had never seen a Kelpian that old before. Like, this is even the first time Saru has seen a Kelpian that lasts beyond V'Haret, really. Yeah. And so to see a member of his own species manage to become an older person, that had to have an emotional impact. And I'm glad they put that in there. I just, the more I think about it, this is just actually a pretty solid episode.
It's a lot of little things. It's a lot of little things as opposed to a few big things. And
it's the details.
Very good. Mm-hmm. But I want to say before we get too far away from it, in regards to Michael and her being the hologram, if that wasn't the cleanest code switch in Star Trek, I don't know.
Smooth. Like literal code
switch. It really was.
She turned into a into a
smile.
Program.
She was like, okay.
I'd never seen Michael so animated.
Right?
And I love that. I love that about her, and I love that for her. Like, Michael in a traditional Star Trek episode is a good thing. Like, I would love to see more episodes of Michael in, like, standard Star Trek situation. I'm on a planet. I've got to adapt. Let's do this. I love it. I think she was really good. But
Yeah.
I also really liked was the relationship between Culber and Saru and Michael on the planet, because you had Michael, coming at it from a professional standpoint. You had Saru coming at it from the emotional standpoint, and Culber was just there to like, I'll support whoever. I'll support whatever action we're gonna take. I'm here for this.
We just need to
And
leave in 4 hours.
right.
Yeah.
But it's also, but I mean,
Yeah.
they were really trying to
Yeah.
play up
But
the
we're
fact
on-
that Hugh was
we're on the
caught
clock.
in the mycelial network for so long, so he understood isolation.
Yep.
So I think that, I mean, that was the driving force behind him really going to rescue Sakal.
Yeah.
What I really
Yeah.
love about
Is it
that.
fair to say that this followed The Wizard of Oz just a little bit? Because you have the
Kind of.
heart, the brains, and the
The bravery, the nerve.
the nerve,
A little bit.
and then you have Sukal, who's kind of like Dorothy. He's a little lost, even though he's in his own little world. It just kind of reminded me of that, just a little, just a tad, just a tad.
Osiris, the Wicked Witch of the West, who's going to see Admiral
She's
the
green.
Wizard. Is that what's happening here? Is that the comparison we're making?
She
I like it
is
if that's where we're
green.
going.
She scares me. but
Going
in
to
a good way.
collab with the wizard instead of just killing him and taking his powers. That's what I'm seeing. The space
Well-
wizard boss? Sure.
Well, now that we're talking about that plot, so when Saru, Hugh, and Michael left the ship, there were some decisions to be made, and first, you had Paul just flipping out, just did not want him to go on an away mission at all, which I kind of thought was a little out of character. I mean, we do yes, they've gone through all that stuff, but Hugh has been on missions before since. He's left the ship and gone on away missions, potentially dangerous away missions, since he's come back from the mycelial network.
Yep.
It felt weird and out of place for Paul to just flip out. No, you can't go.
I
I think it was because of just how dangerous, because it was like, we know that if you're not out of there by X amount of time, you're going to be dead, and nothing that we do can save you. So I think it was that which really got Paul on a whole nother level. Like, bruh, you're not even guaranteed to come back, and now we going out here, and of course, ish hits the fan eventually. So
I think it's even more than that, because we've seen over these last few episodes, Culber and Stamets and Adira, and you see it throughout these 2 episodes in particular. They are really a family now. They really care about each other as a teenager and her 2 gay space dads. It's really a tight knit little group right there. And now that they have that, I think that's the thing that makes it that much more urgent for Stamets. Like, that's my whole family in that nebula, and it is. That's his whole life in that nebula, and that's where it's coming from. Like, it's really hitting home for him that he's about to lose everything again, because he already lost his everything.
Yeah, but not yet though.
Q1.
When Culber left, Adira was still there. He hadn't lost
but
everything.
even still,
yet.
like, we're getting there. Like, he still has that mentality. That's my family down there. Like,
I
that's
see.
still a big chunk of my family down there. He's
Mhm.
he's not at, we lost it all yet, but like, that's still half of my everything.
Yeah,
Still
Yeah.
there, mental.
yeah.
So we've slid into episode 12.
It's all one.
Yeah,
beautiful, gelatinous
this one
episode.
felt more like a joined two-parter than I would say than the mirror episodes did.
Yeah. But before we get into that, can we touch on Tilly as Captain?
Yes.
I want to go
Captain
back
Tilly.
to one more thing about Stamets, or not Stamets,
Oh, please.
Hubble first, that Tia said before we move on. I really like that they are talking about his journey to find himself in this, and that we're following up on that storyline that we kind of just left a little open-ended. We didn't see, did he really get closure? Has he actually found his purpose? How does it feel coming back from the dead? What does that mean for him mentally?
Mm-hmm.
And he's still searching for that kind of closure and purpose and meaning, and that's why he decides to stay on the planet.
I'm so glad you said that, because I
giving him
love
that.
I love that they didn't just like give him a pat ending to his trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's something that's going to be part of his character, going to inform his character for the rest of his time on the show. And I hope we get the same thing for the pilot too, because thank you, Detmer, because that trauma, that PTSD, that informs the person, moving forward. And I love that they're maintaining that they're building on that and using it as a catalyst to make the characters, stronger characters.
I would say that's one of the more consistent plot lines of Discovery. Like, it's not one that they've dropped and picked up. Like, we noticed that. We had that in season 2 when when Hugh decides not to resume his relationship with Stamets immediately. And so, that's one that they've taken a lot of care to at least continue to unfold and tell. And, to reference your earlier point about Stamets, sort of being upset, you can't do this, you can't go there, sort of understanding that he might lose something, right? It seems like he's referencing things that are unrelated. Let me stop, because that's more of an episode 12 observation.
Yeah, I will say they did show Hugh mentioning that to Paul before he leaves. He's like, since I've gotten back, I'm still trying to figure out my place on this ship, and I need to do this. I feel like I really need to do this. So we even have the character himself verbally saying, this is part of my process with trying to get back to being somewhat of the person I used to be. I'm never going to be the same, but I'm trying to get back to feeling to where I'm at least more whole and complete than what I do right now. And it's good. And I appreciate that Discovery has done a lot these first 3 seasons to legitimately deal with characters going through some major stuff, and then we have the cope afterwards. We have deal with the trauma. So kudos to that all the way around. And they still continue to do it consistently, which makes it so good, makes it so heartwarming.
For sure. I mean, how many times did Scotty die in the original series? I mean, there's an episode where Uhura has her whole brain erased, and by the end of the episode, she's back to college level again already. What about her life? It's like all these things that these traumas these people go through, and they're cool within 45 minutes. But this, it's all part of their journey, and it really works. It really works.
And I think that's one thing that distinguishes Discovery from other Star Trek series, right? DS9 tried it in a lot of ways, right? They would have the trauma, but then the next episode they're fine, and then maybe 5 episodes they'll go back to it, but it's not necessarily a running theme. I think Nog was the one time they actually tried to keep sort of an event impact a character for a long period of time. So, I mean, I would say we've talked about how Discovery sort of suffers from not having enough episodes to really flesh out the crew, but they have been successful, at least in the Hugh portion of sort of a character progression, I would say.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then we've got Osira.
So we've got the Osira thing. So that starts with Tilly being
now we're
captain.
On the plot.
Oh yeah. I mean, Tilly's at the con.
Yeah.
It's funny because Tilly had a nice classic Janeway, Picard, Cisco moment. I will blow this ship up before I give it to you. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's the Tilly I want to see.
She was a little spicy on it.
Yes. girl, just take that gingerness of you and just let it out, okay?
I was waiting for her to
Just
talk about the banging.
just be,
but
just an angry
I was like-
redhead, please, please.
She's like, so you want this smoke? Let's go.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
like, okay.
that was
I-
great.
Absolutely adore the banter between Osira and Tilly. I could watch that go back and forth all day.
All
for
day.
real.
That was good.
Oh, it's good stuff because they're just so snarky with each other. Until it was like, see, you're just projecting onto me because you're the one who's really insecure.
And it's funny because, I mean, essentially, I hate to say it, but I kind of have to say it. They're both probably a little bit right, but they're still
Absolutely.
going back and forth anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Well, we get boarded. I get,
As is the Star Trek tradition.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
and,
yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing, right? We see, of course, at the end of Su'Kal, Michael and Booker don't get there when they need to, right? And it's, oop, they're gone. Damn it! Oh, really? This now we gotta go hunt them down. And next thing you know, boop, they popped up. It's at Starfleet headquarters, man, and episode 13 gets jumped off. Osira's got this whole let's feign a chase type deal going on.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about Zare though, because
I
look,
hate that guy.
how did he survive?
You hate that
Please
guy?
explain.
this is the first mistake of Saru in the 32nd century. Okay, all right. He should have let Philippa do what she needed to do.
Exactly.
Philippa knew the second she got there that this was not the same Alpha Quadrant that they left behind,
Mm-hmm.
and that some folks needed killing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
to a real
it's
one.
rough out here.
When we need to tie up this loose end, not just let him out and maybe he dies in the ice, maybe he don't.
No.
Like, I need to know that dude is not gonna come back and bite me in the ass later. And that
The most
Yeah.
hilarious
back
thing about
later.
this is that this is the second time this has happened. Mud, old dude
Yep.
got away and came back and tried to get his revenge. This dude,
Mhm.
they let go and he came back to get his revenge.
I hate this dude. Please,
But
somebody.
his
I mean,
left
this
hand.
Kill this
again,
dude
Star Trek
now.
tradition. That's a Star Trek tradition. Think of Khan.
It was. Like, see, she should have finished him off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Starfleet does not know when to take the double tap.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, that dude needs to go.
Uh-huh.
ASAP.
You know who wouldn't have let him go though?
Who?
Cisco.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Cisco would
He
be like,
nah.
well,
He's not walking away from this.
It was just when I saw him in the episode, I was just like, oh my goodness, seriously,
Mm.
this guy, this guy.
Cisco would have asked for forgiveness, not permission.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think Starfleet would have let it go.
Right?
If he had died, oh well, he's been terrorizing colonies. Okay, this new Federation, this new Starfleet would have been perfectly fine with this dude getting 86.
And they didn't even know the new Starfleet at that point. They that was right after they crashed on that planet, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so they had some leeway. Saru
they-
just decided not to.
After Philippa had already killed like 6 people.
Right.
She was already taking heads, and then like, okay, well,
Could've been a
we're
clean
just gonna let him
strike.
slide. We're gonna let him go off into the ice.
Well, so now
Whatever.
this brings up an interesting thing though, right? So we're seeing sort of the culmination of a lot of the choices that Saru has made during the season.
Mhm.
Letting this guy go, letting Book install the tech that might have brought Osira to them. We don't know for sure.
Mhm.
Him leaving the ship for one.
Mm.
And
Leaving the ship
Tilly.
with, yes, I mean she did well, but she's still just an ensign in the middle of a fight with a criminal enterprise that rules the quadrant. I wonder if this is where we're gonna, like, if this is the point where Philippa's little comment at the end of episode 10 is going to matter.
Hmm.
Yeah, because going back to that thing with Zari, right? Saru and Tilly were afraid to make the hard call. They would not. They want to kill him. But we learned in this episode that Michael will make the hard call.
Yes.
Does that make her a better captain at this point? Are they now establishing that she has what it takes to be the actual captain more so than Saru and Tilly?
If not, then I think we watching a different show than what they're writing, because absolutely they've displayed that in several seasons at this point, seasons 1 and 2. She hesitated a few times, but how many times have we seen her make the hard call up to this point?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen her do what is absolutely necessary to accomplish the mission, save someone, go track down some information and everything else? We've seen her do the heavy lifting, which she's the main character, yes, but she does so much of the heavy lifting on her own, and usually it's without hardly any backup, which to me is kind of triggering sometimes, because as a Black woman, I relate to that in real life.
Which was a point I was trying to make on Twitter about, now that we're in, episode 12, the sort of conflict between Michael and Stamets, right? And it's not the fact that he was upset that she was more focused on getting him off the ship. I understand why he would be upset about that. It is sort of the position the writers put her in constantly, where she has to play everyone's sort of support figure. She has to sit down with the person who's feeling unsure, and she has to, help them, comfort them, and also has to become sort of the target of a lot of their anger. Like Stamets blames her for them being in the future when she literally did not ask anyone to come with her.
Thank you. That whole scene. Okay, let me bring it down a notch, because I'm gonna tell you something right now. When he sat there and he said that we came here for you, and I'm like, no one asked you to, dude.
She specifically told him not to.
Yes.
Exactly. She was like, I have to do this. I'm going to the future. And they were like, nah, chick, we gonna roll with you.
So you wouldn't have to be alone.
Right.
Okay, she didn't ask for that.
She really didn't. And for him to sit there and say that, to me, it was a slap in the face. And I was like, typical. It just that scene triggered me, because I'm like, how are you gonna sit here and blame all your problems on this woman when she didn't even ask you? She didn't ask, she didn't suggest, she didn't say, hey guys, do you want to come with me to the future? We did this for you. I didn't ask you to. I didn't ask. So he wants to sit here and he wants to be upset at his wife or at his husband and his child, who made the decision to go on their own. Michael didn't force them to go down to that planet. She didn't force them to do that.
Michael tried to get Hugh to come with her, and he chose to stay. Now, of course, to be fair, Stamets doesn't know that. Stamets doesn't know that Hugh decided to stay on the planet with Saru and Su'Kal.
Exactly.
So, that is there. But it's just this show, and Dre, me too, I was triggered by it, because it doesn't, there are ways to have a conflict between these two without sort of the, let me knife you, Michael, for doing this. Let me make you feel extra guilty because, you're here with other people. I might not have anything. Oh, yeah, screw you. Like, it just seems it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
And you can have that same scene of him being upset with Michael because Michael's about to jettison him out of the ship, which, by the way, Starfleet picked him up and took him
right away.
So it wasn't like he was floating in space, unable to get assistance. It was immediate. But, that scene did not require sort of putting even more sort of guilt on Michael. Why is she that emotional vehicle for this show?
Especially when she had to do the same, she had to jettison Arium, right? And for him to make, and for that comment, for him to say what he did, Oh, just yeah, it got under my skin. I'm sorry,
That's
y'all,
an important
but
point you just brought up, though, about
yeah,
Ariam. Michael couldn't do it. She
right.
couldn't do it, and it was Nan who did it. And
Yeah,
the admiral brought
Yeah,
up the
that's
fact
true.
that Michael could not make
make
that
the
hard
hard call.
choice,
And
and
she
she was able
said
to do it.
you won't make that mistake again, and she's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hugh's going to come back and have a talk with him when this is done, because Hugh knows what happened, and there's Paul's going to have to eat a lot of crow,
I
and
think, yeah.
the show would be doing us, the character of Paul, and all of us a disservice if they don't have him do it.
Yep.
I agree. Especially there's another small instance that I mentioned in my thread recapping this episode, that at one point, because we're in episode 12 now, when Tilly calls down to engineering and says, "Stamets, get in the cube," and he's like, "Hold on, wait. You don't hold on, wait, the captain. Captain
Yeah.
gave you an order. Get in the cube. That's it. No
I expect him
questioning.
to be demoted. He should no longer be chief engineer.
Like,
I-
who?
Is he
Who
chief
gets it up?
engineer?
Is he? Isn't
I don't
he?
even know.
No.
Or is it
I'm-
Reno?
I thought Jet
I,
was.
I feel like
Oh,
Reno
goodness.
is. I'm not clear on their positions. I mean, obviously he's senior in engineering because he is the conduit for the Spore Drive, but I don't think he's chief.
Oh
Well,
my
he has,
goodness.
like-
We need to. It's
Yeah.
season 3. We need to straighten this
I
out.
think he's
I'm
in
still not
charge
even sure
of-
Culber is chief medical officer.
He's not.
Wait,
Pollard is.
He's not.
It's Pollard, right?
Powell is.
Yeah. It's Pollard.
Pollard.
It's Pollard. Like,
Pollard.
I want to see
She
her
needs some
some
more
by
time
the
too.
way.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I
Can
wanna
we
her.
see her? Right? Can we see the black chief medical officer?
officer, please, please.
That scene with 3 black characters, Book, Michael, and Pollard. I was like, this
That
is
was great.
Yeah.
When Book talking about she was favoring her left front paw. Bruh, your woman right there, but you love the cat more.
I love Michael's face.
I
He's like,
love him
really?
as a cat dad. I don't even care. I love men who love cats.
Says the cat people.
Agreed.
Says the cat people.
I like
Cats
dogs
make
too.
my throat close, you know.
like
so I'm
dogs,
just
but-
like, grudge.
I think it's very sweet that he loves his cat this much.
His queen.
His queen.
His queen, right?
I don't
But
think Grudge is
what
a
you
cat.
just said about that scene, though, I thought was interesting, and I feel like people always talk about the Bechdel test, about how
Yeah. Two women.
two women
talking
in a
to each
scene
other.
not talking about a man, and I think in this case, it was nice to see 3 black people in a scene not talking about being black,
Yep.
just talking about
cat.
what they did on the show and their cat. You
The
know?
cat, yeah.
Exactly.
A
It's
big
just-
cat.
We get to. I always love any experience when we get to live.
Yep.
And
Mm.
not have to live as a particular role. We just get to do what we do, and I love that. I love that sequence. We need a test for that.
I feel
I don't
like
even know what
somebody
to
has
call
made
it.
That's the Black Alert test.
There we go. From here
go.
on out, we're just going to call it the Black Alert test. Episode 12 also involved and I think the Twitter page discussed this. So we saw the return of Ken Mitchell,
Mhm.
which is a great thing. There's been some commentary on the character. So we have Aurelio, who is on the Osira train, but not necessarily aware of the person that he's aligned himself with. So what do we think about his interaction with Stamets and Osira?
You see the veil come off pretty quick for that dude. He was like, "Oh snap!"
I have
this
not been
is
paying
what
attention.
I signed up for. Hold on.
Them
Wait.
rose-colored glasses got cracked real quick.
Mhm.
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
also contrived, though. You think about Osira is this well-known figure in the entire quadrant. Everybody's afraid of her. I don't get it. Why is he surprised that she will shoot someone in the face and vaporize their body in front of everyone?
Point blank
like
ain't that.
very,
there was
very
no
sheltered.
space.
I feel
Very
like she's
sheltered.
very sheltered, and that she has, through her patronage, been able to cultivate a certain environment where she can very specifically direct how she is viewed in his eyes. And she's done that, obviously, to keep him loyal to her. And we find out later in episode 12, the reason for that is so that he can be her proxy in this the accords that they're making to combine the chain and the Federation. And like, there's a reason that she's done this, that she's cultivated this image of herself in her eyes. And I don't doubt that she spent a lot of time and effort making that happen.
Keeping him clean.
Yeah, she did a good job of keeping the lab rat in the lab.
Yeah, she's basically like money laundering.
Pretty much.
He's her front.
You're the money maker, not the hitman.
Exactly.
He had an eye opener real quick, and I was like, to Tia's point, it was kind of like, really though, how could you not know her reputation at this point, dude?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, if he is as good as she was trying to make him, would he be willing to be her pawn in the government in the first place?
See, I think that's where her plan kind of had holes.
Yeah.
Because there would have to be a point when he would recognize, wait a second, she's asking me to do things that I shouldn't be doing. Because in that one of the threads that somebody brought up on Twitter, I said that she's very Trumpy to me. She talks a big game about being the
best plan, the greatest plan.
Exactly, and making the galaxy great again, and all the rest of this, and she's not willing to pay the price. But at all throughout that, she's got all these people who support her because they haven't been hurt. They haven't had to witness the hurt that her policies or her actions have brought down. They've only benefited from it.
I'm just gonna say my mouth's been hanging open for a solid minute at she's very Trumpy.
That was good.
So yeah, I mean, like, we're at the point now where like all those guys like who eventually leave the administration, once they leave, they're like, whoa, he's terrible. And I think that's what happened to Aurelio. He's the Scaramucci.
He lasted about a Scaramucci, I guess.
Exactly.
Which, kudos to the hollow Eli. She's not telling the truth. I was like, oh.
My man, look, I mentioned this in my thread. That whole interaction with her and the hollow, you see at the beginning of the conversation, to prove her fidelity, she starts talking, she's gesturing, and then she's very clearly looking at Eli the Hollow. So you can see I'm telling the truth. I'm looking you in the face. And then when she starts to lie, the head goes down, the body turns away. You are lying. You are not telling the truth. And she's like, okay. And then she moves her body between Eli and the Admiral with her back to Eli so he can no longer see her. And this is ask me again. Like, what?
Y'all, you already failed the test.
It's not going to just read your body language. It's also reading your biometrics. So even then, Eli's going to know if you're lying or not. Like, come on, chick. You not too bright, are you? You may be ruthless, but in terms of like being, intelligent as a criminal, you there, but you miss some things.
So that is an interesting scene between her and what did they call him on Twitter? The Dadmiral?
Dadmiral, yeah, that's what we call him.
Hot Admiral, I believe, is what Grace calls him.
Yes. Admiral.
Yes,
Bill,
Oded Fair.
Yep.
Hey.
Fine.
Come on the show.
End of story.
My name is Tia. You should, Black Alert Podcast at Deep Space Tia. So anyway, that scene is interesting. We've started to go back into sort of the discussion of Federation politics and government, especially with the accords that Osyraa has brought forth. And imagine, like, the thing is, like, for a minute, Vance is sort of thinking about it. A 15-year plan to end slavery, to join the Federation. Oh, yeah, you can join us, but we have to wind down slavery. There's no instant end to it, So this is sort of an earlier point we talked about the Federation sort of being open to being a little bit in the gray, right? Because why think about allowing an organization that pillages and enslaves? Like, why think about it? For monetary purposes, the mercantile, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was because you see Vance at first, he's kind of like, let me entertain this idea. And the more she's talking and the more he's reading those accords and what she's proposing, the less and less he's down with it. He's like, I don't know, man. This doesn't sound like a legit bill of goods here. I'm not liking this right now.
And I mean, I like Oded Fair, not just because he's a hot admiral, Oded Fair, in the middle of my Star Trek, but because as an admiral, he is doing his best and he's playing the long game. Like we see, like there's a brief moment where the assistant lieutenant Willa and one of the chain dudes comes in to give the update because all the regulators have been blown out the airlock by
Regulators. I
McLean
can't.
Burnham. And so
McLean Burnham.
Osyraa and the admiral get that information at the same time, and he's not even sure, like he doesn't even pause. He just throws it out there. It's like, oh, your regulators be running around outside with no suits on. That's a shame. And he just says that. He's like, I know what you know. There you go. I put it out there. So now he's reading this armistice and he's taking these points and he's considering and hemming and hawing. He's buying time. He obviously knows everything on Discovery isn't as secure as Osyraa wants to think. Like he's buying time.
That's a fair point. I didn't really think of it that way, but
they both are,
that's
though,
fair.
right?
Yeah.
She's trying to get this done as quickly as possible, so they don't take Discovery and take all of her leverage. Like she's trying to move quickly, he's trying to slow roll it, and neither of them had a whole lot of incentive to, agree.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings me back to my original point. Like, neither one of them had any real leverage. Vance kind of, I mean, she did in the beginning because, element of surprise and all of that. But as it goes on and on and on, her leverage is slipping away.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was a very good point that he was indeed buying time because he already probably knew, well, if the crew is on board, like you say they are, which Eli said that you weren't lying in that regard, yeah, I'm going to buy them some time because I already know they're Starfleet officers. And what are they going to do? Automatically, they're going to try and take back the ship.
And he knows if Michael Burnham's on that ship, she's not listening to Authority.
Exactly. Exactly.
But he also knows that means she's going to get that ship.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
So
Which,
she's not failed yet.
Exactly.
No.
And I love when she's in the Jeffries tubes crawling around and she sends that quick subspace message out to her mom.
Yes.
I was like, yes! Which I love the nuns. I love that sect of nuns. Thank you with them being introduced in Picard, but then we see them all these centuries later. They're still around. They're still a thing. They're still doing the absolute candor. I thought it was great. So I'm hoping we see Mama Burnham come rescue her baby cub in season finale. Yes.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get some Vulcans and Romulans.
Yes. That would be awesome. I really.
Yeah, my guess is that what we're gonna see then is the Navarre and the Kelpians show up and maybe even humans. Yeah, and maybe even the humans show up and help out the Federation and get it started again. Not rejoin, maybe not the whole way, but start the process back.
Yeah. That would be a huge moment.
They would have to depose Osyraa too, though, because she has 15 planets, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was funny though. She was like, "What do you mean?" Because he was like, "I'm willing to do this, but you're gonna have to be under arrest." And she was like, "Wait, what?"
What?
And that's when she turned into Trump for me. She's
Yep.
like,
She was
Wait,
like,
I have to
excuse you? Go to jail. I have all this
Yep.
power. I ain't going nowhere.
She
And he
should
was
have
like,
said yes and had Aurelio pardon her. Duh.
Yep.
And the thing is that she was like, excuse me, because this is the one thing that she hadn't thought of. Like
Yep.
every time the admiral said, well, if you want that, you're going to have to do this. And she always had something. It's like, oh, well, you know, we could do
Mhm.
this. Like you can't be the face. You got to have a proxy. Oh, well, I just happen to have this dude. It's going to take forever to sort out how we can come together. Oh, well, I just happen to have this armistice right here. She had thought this out. This was a Virgo with a plan. I'm not saying she's a Virgo, but she's probably a Virgo. She had it all figured out. And then here comes Vance, being sassy as he is, throwing something at her that she did not plan for.
Curveball.
Yeah. He
And
called
the
it with
thing
the
that she
okie
How
didn't
did
dokie.
you
plan
not
for was
think
taking
about that, though?
responsibility.
It's the
She did-
Federation.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Yup.
That's
You gonna answer for what you've done.
Yeah.
every
One way
villain
or
has
another.
it's that hubris that gets the villains, you see.
At
Yep.
least she didn't monologue. I'll give her that.
Oh God.
And now she's like, I'm gonna fight my way out of here and burn it all down.
I'm taking my ball. I'm going home. And
Exactly. Yeah, I could keep this Trump analogy going forever.
She's gone back to the winter White House.
Exactly.
You know,
let's go back to
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago.
I guess Riza would be Mar-a-Lago in this.
That's what I want to know is
Yes.
what planet she has. Because there are some that I feel like are pretty obvious that should be part of the Emerald Chain, like Ferenginar.
Yeah.
Ferenginar and
Ferenginar is probably
Dora.
doing very well with the chain.
Yeah.
I don't
If
think
there's
they would
the-
have joined them. I think they probably would just have a business relationship with them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing very well. I don't think, that the Ferengi are, being oppressed or anything. Like,
No.
there's probably a lot of money being made. I'm sure the Ferengi are just fine.
Which,
Unless
I
Nog
still
turned them
find
in,
it strange.
unless Rom turned
I
them into
still find it-
Marxists.
Oh yeah, Moogie. Moogie was like, none of this anymore.
Mhm.
I still find it strange we haven't seen a single one though.
Yes.
There are a lot of
I
things
said
that
I
haven't
have a
seen.
theory why they haven't shown the Ferengi. They are a problematic species,
They
a
are.
very problematic species.
They are.
And so I don't think, I think they won't show them because they're going to have to retcon them.
They'll have to
heavily.
change the makeup
Probably.
for sure.
They'll have to retcon them. And I think after the sort of drama over the Klingon retcon, which by the way, I wasn't even upset with, I think they don't want to deal with it anymore. I don't think they just want to deal with the drama from the fandom about another change to quote unquote canon.
But they are in Picard. Remember, Quark's bar was on that. Quark had a bar.
Yeah, but you don't
on-
actually see a.
Yeah, I
That's-
don't remember seeing any Ferengi.
That's
though.
true. We don't. I don't think we.
We
we
know they.
I don't know. I got to
exist,
go
but
back
we
and
haven't
watch
actually seen any.
those episodes because I'm not sure if we actually see them.
I
We
just want to
don't.
come back before
Okay.
we get too far away from the actual episode. There are a couple more things that I want to discuss
Rope us back
that I
in.
really enjoyed. I really like how in episode 12 that we're finally getting to see some of the camaraderie in the relationships between the rest of the bridge crew.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Morse
Yes.
code
Great.
thing between
The
Reese
Morse
and
code.
Bryce, then Oo and Detmer, and how all they will work together and bounce off each
Mhm.
other. I really like that we're seeing that warmth between them all and that we're developing those relationships. It's far too late for us to be just starting to get to really know the bridge crew.
Yes.
I agree with
Yeah.
that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Morse code. Throwback to freshman year. It's like we just started. Yeah, we're gonna use it. They don't know nothing about this.
Mhm.
Let's hit 'em
Yep.
with a- we were just tapping.
I just and one other
It was
small thing about that whole interaction with the Morse code afterwards when Booker's like, "Oh, you guys, that's really great," and I was thinking, Booker, you see, way back when Saru says go read the field manual, I'm sure Ron like paid
That's
to
what he
read.
meant.
And if you had read it, you could have been in on the joke. Just saying.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
I
fake
mean-
fight turning into a real fight was a gem of a moment. That was.
I mean,
that was
it's
good
only
to see.
been like a week, right? since he told him to go read the field manual, because Philippa leaves and immediately Osira just pops up, right? So
He's
we
been
started
busy.
the episode. We started 11 at the sort of memorial service for her.
Uh-huh.
To see them go back and have him like reading the field manual and learning Morse code.
With
I would
grudge.
say,
I
Saru,
love that,
I'm
you
not
know.
reading anything until you make me part of the crew officially. I don't
Don't
give
get a
my
badge.
labor for free. So,
Fair.
Yeah, how
Fair.
does he not have a badge? You would think
Doesn't.
everybody on the ship should have a badge.
He-
Just so they can be communicated with.
But like you notice that every time he needed to go somewhere, they were like, "Yo, Bryce, beam him," because Bryce
Yeah.
actually had to beam him over. He doesn't have a badge.
Same with
I
Adira. She had to borrow somebody else's
Yeah.
Jet's badge.
But
yeah,
you gotta remember they're pretty tight with the badges. Like Michael in season 1 didn't have a badge on Discovery for the longest.
That's true.
Like they don't just give them, and when they do give them, it's a thing. It's a point. It's
Philippa
Yeah.
had one though. If Adira works in engineering, they should have a badge.
Yeah.
They should have a badge,
They should have a badge.
but they're not technically Starfleet yet. And Starfleet.
Okay, but
badge-
Yeah,
Adira-
Philippa probably just took
Wait.
a badge.
Adira's technically what, a Starfleet
Admiral.
admiral, right? Yeah. So
Technically,
they
yes,
should
but
have a badge.
they haven't clarified what her position is now. Like, are they still an admiral?
And
like,
Dadmiral did say
Do they
that I'm going to
get
treat
an
you like.
admiral badge? Like, what do they get?
Yeah, Dadmiral said in the beginning that I'm going to treat you like somebody I just met.
Yeah, he did.
But didn't Wesley also have a badge though? Adira's.
Had a whole
No.
uniform. What you talking about?
Wesley
He
had that
whole
stu-
getup.
Oh,
Including
I
Uh,
thought Wesley had a badge. Hold on, let me check.
No, I just watched. I've
Wesley
just
only
been
gets a
watching.
badge when he officially becomes a cadet, no?
Yeah.
No, Wesley gets a badge and a uniform because remember he missed. It was the episode Menage a Troy, so he missed going to Starfleet Academy, and at the end of the episode, Picard is like, "I've been reviewing your performance on this ship, so I'm
Mhm.
making you an acting ensign." Like
And he gets a full uniform though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Okay.
pip and
Mm.
everything. He gets
Yeah.
the whole fit. He get fitted.
Yeah.
That's something that they need to clarify because yes, Booker should have a badge. Yes, Adira should have a badge. Like,
Yeah, at least give him a badge. They ain't gotta have a uniform, but at least give him a
it
badge.
doesn't even have to be a Starfleet badge.
Right? Just give him a
Considering-
badge.
Steph,
Oh,
can you make a
considering
call
he's
for
given
me,
us a whole
please?
bunch of
I need to call
information.
someone.
He's got like these concealment bracelets and these, special other tools that he's got from the couriers. It's like, give the man a badge.
We
He's
even
been
have
helping us
Thank
out.
you.
Considering that Book has to do all this stuff for the crew, and
Hello.
he doesn't even get a badge.
Yeah. How many times does he put
Let
his
me
ship
tell you
into
something.
Oh,
peril
that ship.
for
That
these
ship is
people?
beautiful.
I hope he's
They
in.
need to,
Honestly,
and they need to stop playing with this man's life.
Yes.
Okay. How many times are we gonna see this man almost die? Because I'm like, if you put my girl through any more emotional pain with her losing another man, I'm
Hello.
going. Okay, hello.
And she
And
finally
this-
said, "I love you," even though it was in her sleep.
Oh,
Ooh,
I
that's
thought that
also
meant Book was
something that
dead.
we need to
I thought
discuss.
Book was
That
about to die.
happened.
honestly, me too.
Says she loved this man. They gonna kill him, and I am going to riot.
yes.
Wait, is he listed as a special guest star or?
No, he's a main. He's in the
He's
cast.
the main
Okay.
guest. He's the main.
Main cast.
He's the main character.
But
I
saw that.
knew
was
I
really-
knew with Michelle Yeoh, she was special guest star the whole time. I was like, oh gosh, she's not long for this world.
She's on borrowed time.
She was on borrowed time, but
Don't
they
do
gave
that
her a
to
good
us.
send off. But yeah, his life has been on the line a few times, and I don't appreciate that, especially since it's one of the few healthy Black romantic relationships that we have on TV right now. Not saying that there
Yeah.
aren't others, but this is one of the main
Dark
ones that
skinned
we're
people.
being given. To see it go sideways, upside down, diagonal, especially after them saying I love you, those ultimate 3 words, that would have been devastating. So I'm happy they didn't do it, and I'm hoping that they keep this couple a couple.
I think I like it for that reason, and because he's the only Black male character who's ever has lines on the show. I mean, Bryce is just sitting there like having a fade. Nobody else is
But it's a
ever.
nice fade.
It's a great
It's a really
fade,
nice fade.
and I still think the dots are responsible for it. Now that I know that the dots are sentient, yeah, I'm convinced that they come up in and shape him up in the morning.
They have to. 'cause
Yeah.
They probably braided
Bruh,
Michael's hair too.
we got all that data, so we know how to get you right.
100,000 years of black hairstyles in one
Can you
robot.
imagine?
They
We
sure
got you.
do.
What do you need?
Oh,
Shape up.
Got
You
the
want
whole
some?
holodeck program.
Look, the
barbershop.
dot deuce. That's his name. The dot deuce.
Oh man.
Black and
Oh,
everything.
goodness sake.
Hey, what's up, brother? Got the accent and everything, man. What's up, bro? Let me page look real quick. Like, man. I mean, my
Takes
hair
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Right? He get it done so quick. Little thing get it done so quick.
No. It's 100,000 years of black hair. No, it's not 5 minutes. You know they gotta talk. They gotta talk. It's at least an hour for that fake.
This is true. I've never had my
holodeck
hair
program
cut
trying to sell you
at black
DVD.
establishments in less than 45 minutes. Like,
And it's impossible.
One, your
Yeah.
appointment doesn't start on time.
no.
Yes.
Okay, I want to come back to one small boring thing since we're talking about the dot 23s that I actually enjoyed in this episode. And this is something that I've been talking about on Twitter account. I'd like to thank Art with Mira at Art with Mira on Twitter for pointing this out to me a couple weeks ago and jogging my memory because it was something that I did want to discuss. The opening credits are more important than you think.
Yep.
The images in the opening credits,
Mhm.
if you're
They
not
change
paying
every week.
attention, they change. Well, not necessarily every week, but definitely every season.
yes.
What is in the opening credits is definitely important to what is happening in the plot of the show.
And
Yep.
almost in chronological order.
Almost, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this season in particular, I mentioned last week and earlier in the week that the dot 23s, now that we know what they are, I was unfamiliar with the robot's name before. The dot 23s are featured very prominently in the opening credits of the season, and yet we had not seen them do anything important. I don't even think we'd seen them on screen before these episodes.
We
And
did.
now,
Yeah, they did the refit of Discovery.
They
yeah,
did.
during the
They
And we
was
recent
just
saw,
like-
and we saw them in the mirror universe.
we see
too,
them in
I
the
believe.
background. We see them in the mirror universe.
They
and we see
weren't
other
like-
versions.
Yeah.
Yo, they look so sinister in
They're
the
so
mirror
cute.
universe. I'm like,
I look
And now
at
they're-
them like
sinister, but
Eva
still
from
cute.
Wally. They're great. But
They're-
now we
exactly,
know.
it's like Wally and
Eve.
Eve had babies.
Yeah.
yep.
Now we know.
And I
the
love
Spear
how they
Dads is
rolled
there.
up, man. They were like, what's that now? What's that noise? Because you were like, oh, it's about to be a firefight in this corridor. And it's 3.23s rolling up with different colored eyes, I might add. Different
Yes.
colored eyes.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, they got spear data info now, the artificial intelligence, the enhanced computer of the chip. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go,
The-
Dot
The
23s.
evolution
My daughter
of
was
Spear Data that's like a precursor to what will become Zora if you've watched the Calypso short trek.
Mhm.
And I really like that we're getting to see how the Sphere Data is evolving from suggesting entertainment to the crew so that they can relax after this traumatic experience of coming to the future to helping to take back the ship inside of dot 23 robots to whatever is going to come next.
It's like,
It's very
okay,
important
now
to explain
searching
that.
gang wars. We're
Yeah.
ready.
Which
Well, okay, so speaking of
Marketing
Zora,
And what was the
marketing
gang sign though that they made at the end?
Really?
They-
I think that's just
they-
what their hands are.
It looked like they were throwing up the
I
sign
think
of the
that's-
devil, like in like heavy metal.
They were
No,
I
ready
was like,
to go.
these guys are about to throw down.
that's just their hands. I really think it is. Which,
It's literally just their hands, but it still looked good.
yeah.
which,
But
hey,
Zora, right? With the short treks, I forgot about that. You know, the crew disappears.
yes, I was thinking about that a few days ago. I was like,
At some
If
point,
they-
they leave
if-
Discovery behind.
if we see the crew just completely gone in this short trek episode, huh? When do we see that? Like, and the whole ship is intact, no damage, no evidence of a firefight, nothing, but no crew. Like,
And
not
it
a
seemed like
single
they
soul.
had been gone a long time too.
A
Not even
1,000
any
years,
dots.
Zora says she's been alone. So
Yes.
that's at least 1,000 years from where we see Discovery right now.
And I'm like,
Wow.
what the what? Yeah,
That could
it
happen
was-
at any point in the series, though, right? I mean, they
I
at
think
any
that's
point in the
an
series.
ending. I think that's
Yeah.
just a foreshadowing of the ending. Whenever Discovery does end in that last episode, for whatever reason,
It's
they're
possible.
gonna leave.
I think they're
Yeah.
going to send them back.
Yeah, what if Discovery is always like responsible for saving? It's like the Federation failsafe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we didn't discuss the main part of episode 12. G.I. Michael.
Oh yes.
Michael
She
McLean.
went Commando Burnham. She ain't Commander Burnham. She Commando Burnham.
Listen,
Michael Mission
she took
Impossible.
a knife to the leg and kept going.
Didn't even
Lost
make
her
a sound.
shoes.
She was like,
Yep, just like that. She
y'all
didn't
can't
even
see my
yell.
face right
She
now,
didn't
but,
even
you
yell
know,
because she was like, that's going to get me
like a
caught. So
G.
she took the knife silently.
Yep.
Yes, like a G. I was like, damn, that's gangster. Couldn't be me. I'd be crying.
I was screaming. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I hope it ain't the artery to my heart. I'm gonna bleed
I
out.
know. That's why I was concerned. I saw that blood. I was like, "Ooh, we're not doing too good here, girl."
Well, then she used a shifting phaser to seal the
That
wound.
was awesome.
Cauterize her
Yes.
own wound with a phaser like a badass. Oh my
Yes.
god.
That was a Rambo throwback moment. That was some shit Rambo. Oops, that was something that Rambo did.
That was like every 80s movie, that whole sequence. She was barefoot like John McClane. She's
Yes.
sealing her wounds like Rambo.
Yep.
I mean, choking
Airlocking
dudes
a
out with her
bunch of
legs.
people.
Airlocking
Oh,
people.
she sent him out the air like I was like, ooh.
Kicking enemies out windows.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
just,
she did an Alan Rickman at Christmas.
She
So-
Oh wow! Rest in peace, Alan.
oh man,
I
it was
forgot
it was
he was
good
gone.
stuff.
Yippee-ki-yay.
She might as well have said yippee-ki-yay.
That was the
Yeah.
only thing missing.
You're gonna need more regulators. That was Discovery for yippee-ki-yay, for real.
Yeah. Well, so that's what we were talking about earlier, like how this is once again like a very Star Trek moment. One person having to go out and do what needs to be done to get the ship back. Like I mentioned Microcosm, from Voyager. We have that sort of iconic Janeway with her tank top on and her rifle going through the halls of Voyager to do, to take out this virus. So like the Commando figure is not new to the Star Trek series, and I noticed that there was some criticism about that, but I'm just like, well, this happens in every series.
And it's been happening since the original series. Captain Kirk had to deal with those guys who moved super fast and took over the Enterprise, or the people who turned the crew into those calcium crystals.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
which in my family we always said that they were making a mashie. And
Dang.
in Next Generation, Picard had to do it with a Baryon sweep. I mean, and the first time he Vulcan neck pinched Tuvok.
Picard did it as a kid too. Remember when
Yes,
when
Rascal
Guinan
Yes.
and
was
Enzo became
great.
kids? They had to all go commando and still save the ship.
That's
Ships
right.
be getting captured all the time
All the
on Star
time.
Trek.
Yeah.
Why? This is not new. This is essentially a Star Trek trope. Oh no.
It took 3
captured
seasons, so I'm
and
proud
one
of
person
Discovery.
has to get it back. Like this is
Yeah,
what
if
Yeah, because
Starfleet had
Wasn't,
functional security, the show would be boring.
was it the Enterprise in TNG? They had someone try to take over in season 1. They tried to take the ship.
Yeah, the Binars.
Yeah,
Binars,
the Binars
yep.
tried to hijack the ship, and I'm like,
Yep.
on
okay.
Voyager.
It's not
was always
Voyager though.
Kazon,
Voyager had
the Herodian,
Kazon, that Kashyyyk
Species
people.
Species 8472, the
The
photonic
Borg.
aliens. It
Everybody.
was, yeah,
Are
it
you
was.
rebelling on Voyager? You get
Yep.
your turn on Voyager. You get your turn to take the ship. That's
Like,
the way.
honestly, like, are you really a captain if you haven't launched your ship a couple times? Like, at this point,
That's kind of what it
needs to
feels
happen
like.
to everybody.
I mean, Cisco had the whole station taken and had to get a whole fleet to come get it back.
Yes.
I mean,
Well,
I mean,
we
to be
give
fair,
them
that
a good
belonged to the
bit.
Cardassians first.
right.
Well-
Yeah, to be fair, it's the Cardassian station.
The Kardashians
They were
got
random
these-
aliens that took over Deep Space Nine. They at least knew it. They knew it.
You're
They owned their
standing for the Cardassians.
Kardashians.
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
Look,
Okay.
Kardashians are great, a great species, and
We
I
haven't
agree
seen
with
them
Kelly.
in the newer.
We have.
ep-
We have.
There
And
are some
They're
in
in
the
the
new,
background.
yeah, the
They're in
new
the background.
Starfleet.
They're
Yeah.
they're in
Yep.
they're in the background.
Oh,
They are.
I gotta go back because I
You got
completely
watch
missed the red shirts.
every episode and then watch the background of
Yeah.
Starfleet headquarters at every episode. There are a lot
So
of people
Easter
walking
eggs.
around.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think after
So-
the Dominion, the Cardassians are not going solo ever again. Like, nope. We're with the Federation till the end.
Which makes me wonder, when did they join the Federation?
But there are humans that are part of the Federation, and Earth isn't.
This is true. This is very true.
And speaking of the Federation, I'm convinced that the president of the Federation, who they kept trying to say, he's hidden, it's Cronenberg.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought.
I think
Yep.
so too.
The
I'm with you
president
on
going to
that.
see Georgiou, like.
Yep.
Okay.
To take a look at the first Terran that has been around in a while, to look at them up close and personal, I think it's excellent subject.
I don't know. The president being a Terran stan is interesting.
I need to see this with my own eyes.
To be
I don't know.
honest with you,
I
though,
like that theory better than people saying the president was disguised as Eli.
Oh, I hope
No.
not.
But at the end of the day, aren't we all Terran stands just a little bit because of just how sexy they look?
You know what? You're right.
There we go. There it
I'm
is.
not even
Yep.
gonna lie. I'm a Terran stan,
Look,
and if you're not, you're doing it wrong. Like
the
really.
Emperor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
And my girl
Mirror
Killy.
Owo and Mirror Michael. That's basically it.
Uh,
Anyway,
you know what? You're right. All of them.
Yeah, we do have some tragedy.
wrong episode. Wrong episode.
Okay, so yes, we can't go on without addressing the tragedy of this episode. Everybody light a candle. Put up your candle. Put up your lighters
Oh,
For our,
man.
de-
It
and
hurt.
for our
for the
enduring
dearly
hurt.
departed. Rin.
Yes.
Ah,
We're
yeah.
gone
Yes.
soon.
I loved his speech. I'm not afraid of you anymore. I've seen real bravery, real strength, and loyalty and
Mhm.
love. You're nothing compared to that. All you have is fear, and no one is feared forever.
He was fantastic. It was fantastic.
That was great.
Yep.
And if he had survived, I would please give this man a uniform and a comm badge. I don't want to hear nothing else.
And I was
Yeah.
gonna ship him and Tilly so bad. So
Wow.
I was gonna be
He
the
was
biggest
gonna.
Frank Tilly stan
I
in the
still
world.
am.
Thank you, Noah. for your
He
lovely,
can come back though. I
role.
mean, in a different prosthetic, outside of a prosthetic.
True.
He
And
can
with
come
some
back.
antennas,
True.
please.
Jeffrey
Yes.
Combs, right?
Exactly. He can be the
Yes.
Jeffrey Combs of Discovery.
Well, Jeffrey Combs did pretty much all the series going from Deep Space Nine to Enterprise.
Enterprise, yeah.
Noah,
Yep.
I know you're listening. Just pitch it to him. I'm sure they'll love it. Just make me the Jeffrey Combs of Discovery. I'm sure that's how
Yep,
you guys say
That's
it.
it.
Yes.
Like, I'm back.
And that's who I'm waiting to show up. I'm like, when are we gonna get Jeffrey Combs as another character?
They
Like,
have to
for
do
real.
it. They have to give the people what they want.
He
Yeah.
said he'll
Put a
do it.
different color on.
He said he'll do it. He just needs to be asked.
Let
Who?
me get the phone number. Who do
Jeffrey
we need to
Combs.
call? Who do we need to call?
Why haven't they called this man yet? He is a fan favorite. He's a bona fide certified fan favorite. And the beauty of it is he's never played an actual main character. He's always been some recurring character.
Yeah. How great would it have been if he'd been the Guardian of Forever?
Yo!
That would have been good.
Ah,
Okay, I'm gonna give you that one. That would have been a
ah.
That would have been fire. That would have been so fun. Ooh, that would have blew my little Trekkie mind.
I wonder where the Vorta are. Honestly,
Yeah.
The Dominion, the Jim Hadar, all of them.
where are all of them?
Which again, this
Dominion,
we've
the
asked this
Jem'Hadar.
question a few times already.
Word.
What quadrant are we dealing with here?
Well, we've got Earth, and Earth, depending on where you look, is either in the Beta or the Alpha quadrant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like on Star Trek Online, Earth is in the Beta quadrant, and Deep Space Nine is in the Alpha quadrant. And they haven't been anywhere near Deep Space Nine as far as we know. But again, we've seen Cardassians who are also in the Beta quadrant. We don't know. I mean, because they referenced Deep Space 253 this week.
Yeah.
You know, that's 244 deep spaces.
That's
Past Deep Space Nine. How far out are they? Are they in the
They
Delta
said what?
Quadrant?
really
87. They haven't been there in 85 years.
82
87.
years or something like that.
87.
8-7.
Yep.
When they said deep space, I was like, deep space, what number? How many deep space are? That's too
Okay.
many. That's how many?
Okay, but
Right.
Asira is kind of like trifling for that. They haven't been there in 87 years. There's no dilithium. How are they supposed to get there? Like, who's
But I
supposed to
wonder,
get
are
there?
there like
We ain't
federations,
got
like,
no core.
are there like little Federation franchises all across the galaxy? Since they can't like get to each other, there's like, here's the Federation in the Alpha Quadrant, and here's the Federation in the Delta Quadrant, and none of them can contact each other because they're too far away.
Like
Right.
they obviously have some subspace communication, but
Yeah.
it takes time, and they're just not able to travel there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Osira has like all of the dilithium that she can find. But, she goes to Deep Space 253. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Those Federation folks, they don't care about you. Yeah, we know they can't get here, but still, whatever.
Yeah, that's funny though that she would talk about Deep Space 253 as though she's been there. Why, if she can get there, why didn't the Federation ever get there in 87 years? And because she can get there between the Federation headquarters and 253, why can't they?
Also, the corridors. We saw that.
Yeah,
The subspace corridors.
which was cool.
You can't get through it
The
anymore. All the damn
Yeah.
shit's there.
corridors.
Mhm.
And obviously, I don't know what happened, if the burn happened or what happened in these corridors, but the corridors are all full of pieces of ships.
Yeah, I figured it was.
Ship.
By
ships
the way,
that
are
were-
these the references to the Voyager corridors? Like, are these the same
I
thing?
believe it's the same
I
technology.
think so. I think
Not
they
necessarily
somebody
made by the Borg though, but
Yeah.
Yeah, because at some point, I think in Federation history, because we hear, the Navarre, they're talking about, well, we've been working on alternate means to transport. So I would imagine at some point, the Federation was trying to do their own thing with subspace corridors and the whole transwarp coils
probably
and
shortly
stuff,
after
similar to the
Janeway's
Borg.
stunt.
Yeah.
After she
Yeah.
got back.
After she got back, after she rescued Voyager early, sometime around there, I'm sure Starfleet said, okay, we need to do something with this technology.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if Janeway is like, look, I didn't go through all that ish for nothing. We got all this information on how the Borg get from here to the Delta Quadrant and all that, and like not even
Better
half
use
the
it.
time that we do it in. So we gonna work on this. Daystrom Institute, somebody, I don't care, but here's
She waited
here's the whole
until she
database.
became an admiral, and she was like, you know what? This is my pet project as admiral.
Yep.
Circling back, I was actually discussing this earlier today with Sadbird Smythe on Twitter in regards to the transwarp conduits, the courier network. Something happened in there during the burn, and that's why those conduits are full of destroyed ships, and you can't
Yep.
be navigated through. Because
Yeah.
transwarp obviously was a technology that got developed to a point where there had this network that the couriers used, and then the burn, like you can't navigate through there with all those destroyed ships in there.
Don't transwarp still require dilithium?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If they still have,
but yeah,
but if they still have active warp cores and are using dilithium, then yeah, the whatever Shakul Jarul did to
Ja
You went old black man with all of that. Bro.
Murder.
whatever he when he had his eruption, it transported through the transport network too, or it could be a Borg wreckage that's left over from when Janeway blew up the corridor.
Janeway kept through.
I mean, Janeway did kind of
Janeway's legacy.
wreck stuff. Future Janeway did kind of do some stuff to it. She might have just left it all the debris in there.
As much
She
as I
took the
like
Borg
that,
real good when
Booker
she,
does say at one point the couriers were using these regularly. They're just not anymore because of all this debris. So I have to assume that the wreckage is because of the burn and not Janeway.
I'd love to think Janeway just wrecked the whole galaxy. She's like,
For,
no,
for millennia. We're still feeling
Exactly.
the effects of Catherine Janeway of the Federation starship Voyager.
I
Like,
get these
Well,
people.
I mean, we see Voyager J when they finally get to Starfleet headquarters, so it's very possible that there's a Janeway out there somewhere
she
on
got
the ship
Picard.
serving
That's what
Starfleet.
happened. They turned her into an
An
AI.
android. She's an
Shall-
android now. She got the AI that Picard has. She's still alive. Kate Mulgrew.
She's the
Let's call her.
EMC. She's the emergency. Well, no, she's the ECH. She's the emergency captain hologram
The
of
emergency
Voyager.
command hologram. Computer. Initiate the emergency command hologram. Janeway comes up and she's like, you know what? Blow this shit up. Let's do it.
But before that, I need a cup of coffee.
On that note, do we have anything else to discuss on this episode?
I think we're good, man. That was some good stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Next week's the season finale. Are we ready?
No.
No.
That's it for our recap of episodes 11 and 12 of Star Trek Discovery. Before we end, we'd like to give a few shout outs to some of our previous guests. Noah, who joined us last week and gave an amazing sort of interview with us, and we really appreciate it. And we appreciate Mary Wiseman for shouting us out on the Twitters. That Bird app does come in handy sometimes.
Shout out to Susan and bringing to light some of the issues that are still being had within Star Trek fandom and the .23s.
Shout out to at Art with Amira and at Sad Bird Smythe for conversing with me on this Bird app about transwarp coils and the Borg and how that happens in the Discovery timeline and how the art of the opening credits has changed and is influencing what's happening on the show. Thank you guys for allowing me to pick your brain and bring that to the podcast. I think that's everything, and we're all done. So love, peace, and Star Trek.
See y'all next time.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Take care.
Peace out.